Reddit is a well-known site with a section for everyone. You can browse posts about everything from Minecraft to football. But along with the light-hearted subreddits, also exist subreddits where people can come with their queries and questions regarding dark family history, scary current events in the user's life, and everything in between. Today we're going to be taking a look at 5 posts made to Reddit that tell of dark, disturbing, and creepy events. So turn off the lights and prepare yourself. It's time to step into the darkness. Hi there. I'd like some answers if possible to help settle my mind. Has this just happened for the second time under the exact same circumstances as the first time? And needless to say, I'm freaked. For context, I'm a 22-year-old female living with her parents in the southern UK. The first time this happened, I was scared sick, but was willing to brush it off as a harmless incident. Now, it's happened again, under the exact same conditions as the first time, and I can't help but think it's just too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence. A few months ago, my parents took a week-long trip by themselves, so I had the house to myself for a week. I don't drive or have a vehicle, and they took the car, so my driveway was empty for the first time they were gone. I kept the lights on at night and doors locked at all times, and about halfway through their trip, the first incident happened. I like to stay up late at night so I can spend more time with my long-distance partner, so I was easily still awake at 3 to 4 AM. I live in the suburbs, and cars driving around outside my house is unusual at that time of night, so when I heard an engine on standby outside my house, I was curious. I went to peek outside and there was a car right in front of my driveway. It stayed there for about half an hour. During this time, the driver got out, knocked on my door a few times, before sitting back in the car and browsing their phone. They then drove off after about 30 minutes and came back about 10 minutes later to sit outside of my neighbour's house for about another 5 before leaving completely. I was scared shitless. Having strangers outside / trying to interact with my house while I'm home alone is one of my biggest fears. But after I'd calmed down, I was willing to chalk it up to maybe a driver got the wrong address and was trying to find the right one. This would be scary story over if the exact same thing did not literally just happen. Once again, my parents are out of town, car gone, and I'm home alone. It was 4 AM, I was up late talking to my partner again, and I hear another engine running outside my house. This time, it's a motorbike. The driver is staring up at my window, whistling. I can only assume trying to get my attention. My room light was visible on the outside. I hear him knocking my door a few times. He has a phone in his hand and is waving his arms around. I peeped out again from behind my curtains for about 2 seconds. I think he saw me as I moved against my wall, and he walked to the side to try and keep his eyes on me. This made my blood run cold. After about 5 minutes, I hear him talking on his phone. I can't make out what he was saying. Time passes and I hear him leave on his bike. Maybe I am way too paranoid about this, but these 2 instances are literally the only times I have ever seen this happen to my house. What are the chances that both times happen while I'm home alone, no vehicle in the driveway, and at 4 AM in the morning? Please help me gain some peace of mind before I lose it completely. Let's go over this. 2 events where an unknown person has pulled up outside of OP's house in the early hours of the morning. Second time, they knocked on OP's door, whistled at them, and acted creepy. We certainly have an interesting case on our hands. Like OP said, this could simply be a driver making a mistake and pulling up to the wrong house. This is the most unlikely option, however, as, for one, it probably wouldn't happen twice, and 2, there's no reason that driver 1 would have to wait outside for half an hour. A more likely option that some pointed out in the comments is that it was simply a delivery driver, but OP says in an update that both times no delivery bags were on the person or in the vehicle. So with option 2 out of the window, let's entertain the disturbing options. It's highly likely that these guys were looking to rob the place. No cars in the driveway, possible that they thought the house was empty, but OP says that they kept the lights dim, so there was definitely reason to believe that people were home from an outsider's perspective. It would be extremely risky for a criminal to rob the place with another person inside. The robbery option has a bit of weight, as OP mentions that their mother regularly posts on social media, and she mentioned that she's on holiday, making it very clear that she isn't home. We should note, however, that someone seeing this over social media and planning to rob the place is very unlikely, as OP says that not a lot of people know their address unless they are close. The most likely possibility here is that criminals saw the place and thought about robbing it if OP wasn't home, but it could be something much more sinister, or the truth could be more lighthearted, as some users pointed out. Someone said that a catfish could be leading the men to OP's address, while others theorized that the men were mistaking OP's address with that of a sex worker, which would explain the low profile, late night appearances. The last two don't really explain why they would sit outside OP's house for up to 30 minutes, and really the most plausible way to explain this is that the house was being cased, but I guess we'll never know the truth. Since the incidents, OP has installed a ring camera and a floodlight to catch them in the act if it ever happens again. OP's neighbours also noticed the guy and are aware of the situation. Since the updates, OP has gone IA for 6 months, with only one update in the form of a reply to a comment asking if they're okay. They replied, "Hi, yes, I am okay. Since we installed the camera, we have not had any suspicious activity since, so the best outcome, but also the least interesting." Let's just hope that they continue to stay safe, and that it was simply a case of mistaken address. An additional update, since this is an updated narration, that this video was recorded in 2022, however I can confirm that OP has not made a single post since. I'm worried that I'm being stalked, although I'm not sure if I'm being paranoid or if the suspect's behaviour is genuinely concerning. I live in a condo in a small neighbourhood with one circular road that's maybe a quarter of a mile in circumference at most. There's this car that is driven by multiple times. This only happens at night. They'll usually speed past the house if I'm not visible through the window, but will slow to a crawl if I am, for example if I'm watching Netflix. It still happens if I draw the blinds, since the side lights, long window next to the main door, aren't covered. The person has come to a dead stop before, twice, then opened the car door and leaned out, then closed it, all while staring into my window. This has happened 4 or 5 nights now, all when I was downstairs. Half the time I'm upstairs. The car will pass by my condo an average of 3 to 5 times each night, usually within the same hour or two, and I would like to once again stress how small my neighbourhood and its road is. Today, my significant other and I attempted to set up a scenario to make it seem like I was alone in an attempt to take a picture of the vehicle. A different car than usual came by and stopped outside my house, but when my SO appeared in the window, the car immediately backed up. It's a one-way road, then sped past the house behind another car. I'm not sure if it's different people, the same person with different cars, or something entirely different. This only happens at night, and the main vehicle is a dark colour. The one that backed up today was white or silver, but we most likely haven't seen it after it reversed and sped off. All we know is that the suspect is most likely a white male. We suspect that he is under 50. He also has short hair. Is there anything I should do? I don't have enough info to go to the police. I'm 18, so I can legally purchase a firearm for self-defense if need be, as well as other things. Stun guns are illegal where I live, but I do have pepper spray and many knives in the kitchen if there's a break-in. Any advice is appreciated. Small neighbourhood, one circular road, and a possible stalker. Let's discuss. It really does sound as if OP is being stalked. I mean, look at the evidence supporting that. A car with an unknown man pulling up or slowing down outside their house if they're visible, stares into the window at them while exiting the car. I for one would be very disturbed if I was the victim. As always, we have to look at the different possibilities, and Redditors came up with some interesting, out there but plausible theories. The one that got the most attention was a user telling OP to check for Pokestops in the neighbourhood. If you don't know, Pokestops are areas around communities in the popular game Pokemon Go that when you find them will provide you with items. They're usually in hotspots and areas of interest, so it's certainly a possibility. However, OP did a check and reported back saying that there are none in the neighbourhood, and the nearest one is 0.25 miles away. But let's not give up hope of this being innocent. Another user asks if OP's address is easy to find on map apps, as it could be a delivery driver looking for an address and they just happen to stop outside OP's house every time. This one's probably less likely, as it seems to happen quite a bit, and OP says that they circle around more than twice per night. The final popular theory by one Redditor was that it's possible the driver works nearby and he just drives around on his break. They also suggest that it could be a delivery driver waiting for an order, or finally, it could be the driver's route to smoke weed. These are also very good suggestions, but it doesn't explain away the staring at OP, leaning out of the vehicle, stopping in front of the house, and driving away quickly when OP's SO was home. Once again, this could be a case of a criminal scoping out the place for a robbery. They'd probably want to be less suspicious, however, and them staring at OP certainly makes it obvious that they're there, almost as if they want to be seen. OP gives a brief description of the man too. White male, under 50, short hair. The second car showing up and doing the same thing is also very weird. Like OP said, it's possible it's the same person with a different car, or it could be a completely different person doing the exact same thing. I don't know which one is scarier, to be honest. OP says in an update that they set up cameras, with the one issue being that they were very visible. They believe the man saw them as he stopped showing up, or at least he stopped his weird activities. OP continues to post to this day, and they seem to be safe. We can only hope that the man really was gone for good. Now in 2025 I do have a bit of an update. In a comment posted on 2024, someone suggested gang stalking. And OP replied saying that since posting this post they had moved away from the area, and you'll be happy to know that they are still posting to this day, with their most recent post being just a day ago. When I was around 13 years old, a person added me on MSN. Their name was Jay, and they were from Birmingham, England. We talked a lot and became fast friends. They'd send me birthday cards and we'd talk every day. When I was at school, we'd talk via Hotmail, as I had no access to MSN. Jay does exist because I met them in person once. They introduced me to their friend Dan, who was 15 at the time. Our only interaction was via MSN. I didn't have a webcam or a cell phone, so I never spoke to him in person. Dan and I became closer than Jay and I were. We dated online for a little while when things took a turn. According to Dan, he'd gotten a girl pregnant and she died in childbirth. He sent me pictures of the baby. A week after that, on Valentine's Day 2007, Jay messaged me to tell me that Dan had hung himself. I was 14 at the time and distraught. However, over the years, I've begun doubting whether Dan was actually Jay, or even someone else. I was bullied relentlessly in high school by this one girl who would talk to Dan and Jay. Because it's been so long, I can't remember how she got Jay/Dan's email addresses. After Dan died, I ended up getting into a conversation with this bully about it. She claims she met him in person, but the caveat to that was to tell me all the horrible things that he had supposedly said about me. So I didn't know whether she actually met him or was just saying so to hurt me. I need some closure, and I don't know where to start. I've searched Jay's full name and city online before, but have come up with nothing. They did send me a memorial video that was made by them and Dan's friends where they talked about him, which I may be able to find. This story is very full on, so let's break it down and dissect it. There are three main people here: Jay, Dan, and a bully. Jay and the bully both exist as OP has met them in real life, but it's up in the air whether Dan ever did, and that's the question that OP is asking. According to Jay, Dan took his own life in 2007, and OP has their theories that Dan was actually Jay, or just a catfish in general. So the main point to take from this is the question of, does Dan really exist? The bully claims to have met him, but can we take their word for it? OP's update on the situation reads as follows. So, it's been a whirlwind of a week. I'm still processing, honestly. I managed to finally log into the email account I used to talk to Jay and Dan on. I sifted through tons of emails trying to find a picture or any information that I could use. I managed to find a picture of them, which another user tried to cross-reference with pictures of people with the same name in their general area, but came up empty-handed. In one of their emails, they mentioned a teacher by name, and another, the name of a girl in their class. I searched for the girl on Facebook and found the high school they attended, which I cross-referenced on Google with the teacher's name, and it was a match. Now, we had the exact town that they lived in. An extremely helpful user took this information and managed to find an old address for Jay, which listed their parents' and siblings' full names as well. I managed to find their brother on Facebook, who was so nice and helpful. Plot twist, Jay is now John, and that's why I couldn't find them anywhere online. John's brother advised me that John didn't have social media, but he remembered me from all that time ago. I asked him if he knew or remembered Dan at all, and he said that he did. I asked if he'd actually met him before, and he said he had a bunch of times. Then I asked the big question. I know he existed now, but when did he die? He didn't. John's brother linked me to his Facebook account under a slightly different name. His face is still exactly the same, just 10 years older. Dan is still very much alive. He never died. He never killed himself. I spent my teens mourning this boy, and it was all just an evil, sick lie. John's brother was super kind about it all, and explained that John had a habit of just doing and saying shit to hurt people because he felt like it. I couldn't convey to him that it wasn't just John who did this, it was Dan too. I just felt too embarrassed to try and explain that to him. Dan and I talked every single day for 2 years. We shared everything with each other. Then one day, he just decides he doesn't want to do this anymore, so he pretends to have killed himself. What trips me the f*** out was that John sent a pamphlet for a memorial on the beach in my hometown. I begged my mum to let me go, and she wouldn't. What would have happened if I'd have gone? John sent me a video of various different people talking about how missed Dan was, and what a wonderful person he was, and how he was gone too soon. How many people were involved in this? I think my bully did meet up with Dan, and I think perhaps he did tell her he hated me, and I still think she thinks he's dead too. It's been a decade, and she's still an awful person, so I really don't think she'll have been able to keep this to herself for this long. It was so bizarre and so heartbreaking scrolling through his Facebook post and seeing his whole life that he'd lived, while I've been mourning him this whole time. It seems he lives a very nice life. So this is a crazy conclusion. Dan was in fact real, and he is alive. It's crazy to think that John lied about his death and obviously got a lot of people that agreed to join him. To go to the lengths that John did with making a fake memorial pamphlet and video, it begs a question of how much planning went into all of this, and what compelled him to do this in the first place. This was an extremely insensitive and hurtful act that was committed by both John and Dan. The fact they kept it up and basically just forgot all about OP is extremely hurtful to read about, so I can't even imagine how OP must have felt. Some commenters pointed out that John possibly told Dan a terrible lie about OP, and that's why he stopped talking to them and went along with his plan. Others theorized that maybe Dan wasn't in it, and John was catfishing OP and needed an escape. Whatever happened, a lot of people involved in the situation did a disgusting thing, and I'm just glad that OP got the closure that they needed, even if it wasn't the answer that they thought it would be. And although we don't have a specific update on OP in this case, they are still posting to Reddit, so all the best to them. I hope that everything's okay. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video, I really appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the video if you did enjoy, do all of that good stuff. These were free topics from Disturbing Reddit Posted Volume 1, which was a video from late 2021, early 2022. If you would like to see more old stories re-narrated, then make sure to tell me in the comments and let me know what you thought of these. I'm shifting the content a bit and I'm going to be focusing more on internet mysteries and dark internet stuff, so don't forget to stick around for the journey. Check me out on social media. I have Instagram, Blue Sky and Twitter, and you can also join my Discord server using the link in the description. And I also just launched a brand, so if you want to check that out, go to www.lemanoir.com. Thank you to anyone who's purchased anything so far, it really means the world. I put a lot of effort into this and I really hope you guys enjoy it. And of course, thank you so much to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members: Brooke, Entrepreneur, Maury Gann, K4 Silver, Alex Rod, Basefinger, Carmilla, Shoshka, Frozen Roses, Midnight Kitty, Collecty Key, and Briar. I'll be back very soon with another video, but if you want another right now, then how about you check out the video that's on your screen.